You're going to talk to your PC one way or another. Happy Friday, friends. It is Friday, hopefully, or Saturday, I guess, depending on when you're listening to this out in the real world. But hopefully you had a wonderful week. We got ROG Ally now in the flesh. Well, not in my flesh, but out in the real world. Microsoft wants you to talk to a PC, and we'll dive into that because it's, I think, a necessary evil for everything that is going on here. So hopefully you had a wonderful week. Let's dive into the tech news that is most relevant. So this week, Microsoft, after teasing it for a couple days here, was like, hey, Copilot, that's a thing you will not soon be able to say in front of a computer without it going and starting up or doing whatever noise it's going to do. And Microsoft wants you to talk to your PC again, right? We've already had Cortana and we've already had various things over the years, but this time, friends, it's really going to stick. This is going to be the thing. And if you say goodbye, it goes away. But given the advancements in AI, I suspect that this one will actually be less bad, if you will. Now, I'm not sitting here saying you are going to want to talk to your PC because I think most people probably don't. But there are times it may work out or whatever else. But I think this is realistically just a necessary evil. I think we can all sort of agree or at least understand that in the future, there's going to be more Amazon Alexa-like devices or Siri devices out in the world. Hopefully nobody's phone or anything else just turned on. I realize I said that. But these things are coming again, wave 2 of this sort of stuff, and Microsoft doesn't want to be left out of the conversation. So they are doing this on Windows with the assumption that these things will be out in the real world and they don't want to be behind. And so it may not be something you want to use. It may not be something you like. It might be something you probably turn off, like most people probably will. But at the end of the day, they have to get this out there and get usage and get and expand its functionality so that if and when these things become more pervasive, they at least have a product that is available and works across various endpoints. So you can't get away from this. And so like launching with this stuff is Copilot Vision. So Vision is the thing that allows you to see everything on your screen. It's sort of like a recall, but in real time, sort of quasi-ish. This is something you have to turn on again, blah, 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 and all that stuff. Just assume privacy is baked in because Microsoft learned its lesson last time. And so it allows you to see what's on the screen and ask questions about what's going on. There's genuine value here, and you could talk to your computer and talk things through it, again, provided it works to the level that actually makes sense. And especially from tech support perspective, this might actually be really, really helpful. And so these things are now available kind of sort of ish. They're rolling out and you can grab them if you know how to go and do all that stuff, or just wait long enough, and I'm sure once it hits your device, Microsoft will show you a nice little pop-up that says, here, use your voice, talk to your PC, tell it to SFC scan now and see if it does it. If you get that joke, you've been around the Windows for far too long. But either way, this is all coming. Now, the one thing that's worth pointing out here is that Satya Nadella in previous history, not long ago, said he could see a future where Copilot replaces the start button in Windows. I'm not saying that's happening. When you look at the sort of how they've designed this whole experience, you kind of see where they're heading with this. It'd be interesting to see what they do with a mythical Windows 12. They're adding a new taskbar sort of widget, if you will, typing experience for working with Copilot. Microsoft is all in on Copilot. And if you like Copilot, that's great. If you don't like Copilot, buckle up, because it's going to get more shoved down your throat one way or another. You don't have a choice. But either way, this stuff is all rolling out now, which, really kind of brings this weird question that Microsoft is now saying. They're saying making every Windows 11 PC an AI PC. If you remember, Microsoft went through this weird phase where they called things Copilot Plus PCs, and technically those things are still more capable than your baseline vanilla Windows 11 device, but it just blurs that line once again from previous marketing efforts, like go buy Copilot Plus PC, and now they're like every PC is a Windows is an AI PC. It's just classic Microsoft marketing where they just fumble over themselves, and now it's more confusing. And I realistically don't think the average user knew what a Copilot Plus PC was. I don't. So now it's even harder to know. So just don't even worry about it. And if your device doesn't have the feature, then just keep waiting, because I'm sure they'll probably just bring it out everywhere eventually or do something, because it's still ridiculous that somebody who has a 5090 in their box isn't a Copilot Plus PC, even though it's infinitely more powerful and capable. And some will say, but it doesn't have an NPU. But I will take a 5090 every day over an NPU. So it's just more confusing mess. Microsoft's favorite thing to do, and that is what they've done this week. And so that's their big announcement. There you go. Microsoft, I grabbed the wrong image for this, is also reportedly moving all their manufacturing out of China. It seems like geopolitical things are playing into this, and so everybody else is doing it. Microsoft doesn't manufacture like tons of things. I mean, they still make Surface PCs, and there's more than you probably think about. But at the end of the day, they are moving more and more things out and just diversifying their portfolio of manufacturing capabilities. So there you go. All right, on to the gaming news this week, because as always, there's interesting things. So Keeper is now available out on Game Pass, and it seems like it's doing all right. So it's currently sitting at an 80 Metacritic score. It just came out today, so you gotta sit and wait and let these things marinate a little bit, if you will. But it's out. You can go play it now. It seems like it's gonna do well, or at least it's not gonna bomb from a review rating perspective. And so it's another good release from Xbox. But the real news of the week was the ROG Ally release. And so I do not have one. I'm not going to go shell out $1,000 for the Ally X or even $600 just to tinker with one. But if you go read all of the reviews, and I think I've read every single one and watched every single video, the TLDR is the performance is fine. It plays games fine. That's not really the question. The issue, and this was something I was worried about from the get-go, is that, first off, it's called an Xbox, but it's, let's be real here, it's not an Xbox. It's just a Windows-based PC gaming device. Now, there are differentiations there, but the TLDR of this is that it's still too much Windows. Like, you can still, like, it comes with Teams pre-installed. Now, granted, I think it's just a shortcut that goes down. It doesn't matter. If you go to apps, pre-installed apps, Teams is in there. It's a full Windows install. Yes, you jump into the Xbox mode and it's a little bit lightweight, and then they remove the shell experience and blah blah blah. I get that. Not disagreeing with that. However, like, the pop-ups still exist. Like, there's still UAC control. It is still a Windows. There's too much Windows. That is the downside to this. I'm not saying it's a bad gaming device. I'm not saying it's a bad Steam Deck. I'm not saying it's bad at playing games or doing all the stuff that you want to do. It's just not an Xbox in my brain. It's a PC game. It's Windows just with an Xbox skin, which somebody would say, well, isn't that just what Xbox is? Like the one, no, it's not. It's much more deeper than that. And so we will see. Now, the reality here is that there's two ways to look at this. This is V1 of the Xbox mobile and Xbox future experience. That is one thing. Or is this it? Like, is this the final experience? If it's the final experience, that's a big problem. I suspect that this is just the first version, and that over the next year, we're going to see many more things come out that are like going to improve this experience. That is my hope. And Microsoft even goes on to say, or maybe it was ROG, I think it's Microsoft, so that they're going to be bringing like automatic super resolution, better docking experiences, and other things else. So they're not just shipping this and like set it and forget it mentality. They are intending to continue to update this, as one would expect. So the verdict is still too far out to know, like, is a future hybrid Xbox scenario that Microsoft wants, and we all believe we're pushing towards, is it viable to like get away from Windows, right? They're bedfellows, and they're still attached a lot, but like things got to get more Xboxy for this to feel like an Xbox. And so that's what you kind of need to know. I am not planning to buy one of these. I'm fine and happy with my current Xbox. I don't need to spend another $600 to $1,000 playing Xbox mobile. The one interesting thing that is actually most interesting to me would be just the actual docked experience. I don't need the screen. Just let me plug it into the TV, and if it's the true Xbox experience, blah, blah, blah. But again, you can't play your old gen Xbox. We already know the story here. Hopefully they get that figured out, which I suspect that they will, but this device can't. So to me, it's a PC with an Xbox branding, and it's not there yet, but they're trying to get there. They're trying. Will they? We'll find out. That's the fun of the game. And here we go. Okay, on to the questions of the week, because as always, there are a bunch. And this was a great week for questions and chit-chats and doodads. So here we go. Bran MCK31 says, what is the biggest obstacle Microsoft faces trying to unite console and the PC ecosystem? How hyped are you for the new Sony handheld that will launch alongside the PS6? Look, Sony, PlayStation, PS6 stuff, happy. I hope they blow it out of the water and do amazing things. It's just not. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation. If I'm going to be buying another console or whatever, it's going to be a dedicated PC gaming box. That is my future. It's not that I don't like PlayStation. It's just I like Xbox and I like Windows stuff. And so here we are. So what is the biggest obstacle? The biggest obstacle is probably the backwards compatibility of your existing library, right? To me, to get the ROG to be a true Xbox, it needs to play my full digital library. I don't need to think about it. I don't need to update drivers. I don't need to go into the settings. That was one of the other things with those ROG devices. Like, you got to go into the BIOS. You got to, it's too PC-like. The hallmark of console gaming is press button, play game. And so for those to you're not getting there. So, but anyways, the biggest thing is just that backwards compatibility layer and doing it in a way that doesn't destroy performance. So there you go. Itanari says, will you be getting it in the ROG Ally or Ally X? No, I don't. I would like the X version, but I don't think $1,000 is worth it, is what he says. When some features clearly need some tweaking based on a few reviews I've watched. My Steam Deck still seems to be if you already have a Steam Deck, I would not buy an Ally X. I mean, you're crossing over too much. I would definitely wait a generation. This is first. Let me take a step back. It is believed that this is the first generation of these sort of types of hybrid devices. So wait till Gen 2. Wait until Microsoft gets more mature with the software and candidly gets more mature with their actual messaging about where this generation is going, because we're speculating to the best of our ability about how Microsoft is going to evolve. But until they come out and say, this is the path for Xbox, here you go. They even did, they brought this thing on Good Morning America, which was very clearly targeted towards parents for the holiday shopping season. Like, oh, I can buy a little Junior an Ally, Xbox Ally, and he can play all his Xbox games. And they actually made a flub and said, you can play all your Xbox games on there. You can't. You cannot. You might be able to stream them, which is like a weird technicality. But the way that they phrase it makes it sound like you can play your actual Xbox games on there. I can't wait for a parent to walk in with a disc and be like, where do I put this thing in there? And it doesn't work. You can stream something. In theory, you could probably stream just about everything you'd probably want. Not everything. Not everything is streamable currently. But at the end of the day, it's still not native. And then if you're on a plane and then see where I'm going with all this, you can get a little weird. Mr. PKI says, give us the scoop on the new Windows. Is this the new Windows 12? Is this the new Windows AI Special Edition? Microsoft was calling it Windows 11. I walked at all their media marketing. I was like, are they going to just start calling it Windows? Because Windows 10 is in theory dead. Yes, I know there's still updates and blah, blah, blah. But in theory, it's dead, right? It reached its end of life milestone marker. So, yeah. We don't know. This is just Windows 11, right? They even call it making every Windows 11 PC an AI PC. So it's just confusing. We're in this weird muddy stage of what is Windows doing. Much like Xbox, it'd be cool if they just said look, here's what's going to happen. They won't though, for various marketing reasons. But just trying to understand, is there a new Windows 12 coming? Or are they just in the mode of we're shoving everything out the door as fast as we can because competitors are moving faster than we are at this time? Severn Dickinson says, happy Friday, Brad. Happy Friday to you. Longtime fan of the channel. Longtime fan of you. Do you think that Microsoft will announce the next-gen Xbox and Halo ready for the 25th anniversary? We know there's new Halo content coming. That is known at this point. Microsoft has said there's new Halo content coming, and I believe we're going to see more of it, and we'll know more about some of those directions, I believe, here in the near future. I don't know if they're going to have it for the 25th anniversary, mostly because they've been terrible at hitting deadlines. So they might like to, but we all know what happened with Halo Infinite and how that was supposed to go. So we're just going to hold back on that. What do you think about ARM CPUs and their performance? I think they're fine if you're just doing general compute. Don't buy an ARM-based device for gaming. You will have a bad time. That's just it. There's a lot of things that need to happen. It's better than it used to be, but if you're buying a dedicated gaming device, to buy it as ARM is just not a smart move. Just go get an AMD box and you'll be much happier. Although finding a desktop PC that is ARM it's technically possible, but it's not logical at this point. And then he goes on to say, Intel's offerings seem a bit stagnant at the moment. Yes, we're waiting for this newest chip generation. They announced that last week to see if their new fabs are really given the beans that we all kind of hope that they will. And he says, what do you think of the Call of Duty 7 beta? Have a good week. I actually have not played Call of Duty 7 beta yet. I haven't played Call of Duty 7 at all, actually. I've been playing a lot of Battlefield. I went from Helldivers to Battlefield 6. And so Battlefield 6 looks it's been pretty good. I'm, as a Call of Duty enthusiast and long player of Call of Duty, jumping back into Battlefield, I'm definitely feeling some pain because I'm getting destroyed, but I'm getting there. It just takes time. Mr. PKI with another question says, it seems that everybody is leaving the Turn 10 studios and Xbox. Does this mean that Forza Motorsport is pretty much killed off? It's a good question. They definitely did some big downsizing. It doesn't seem like we're going to get those very frequent, large updates going forward anymore. I think that is the one thing that we can probably all align on at this point. Mato Bear says the Asus Xbox ROG Ally is it an Xbox or is it not an Xbox yet? I think it would be interesting to see how the community would define what is an Xbox. To me, an Xbox is a console or device that can play the backwards compatible digital library that I have. That to me is it. Now the hardware component is going to be a little mishmashy, but to me, Xbox and even PlayStation, they're just software layers. They're just software that runs on a specific type of hardware. So the hardware you can move around. I'm less worried about the hardware. It's the software experience to me that is Xbox. And until that historical, backwards compatible digital library can travel with me through everything, and not like everything with an asterisk, but like I can go play all my old games and all my old saves on anything that is an Xbox. That is an Xbox. So we'll wait and see. But to me, even then, to me, an Xbox is still a box that sits under the TV. You press a button on the controller and it just boots right into that experience, and it's just gaming. The day that I have an Xbox and I can hear Teams notifications coming through my headset because I'm actually accidentally in the wrong mode is the day that I throw that thing out the window. So, yep. Techie says, or Techie G33. Oh, Techie Geek. If I could read. Some of these names are hard to read when there's letters and numbers. But anyways, is there a noticeable percentage of machines that can't upgrade to Windows 11 that will get loaded with Linux, or do you think most will stick with Windows 10 if they can't afford a new computer? I think most are just going to stick with Windows 10. The idea that there is a certain percentage, and it's a very small percentage, to be like, I don't want to go to Windows 11, I'm going to try Linux. But like, think of your parents, think of anybody who's non-technical. Despite the fact that Linux has made leaps and bounds, and there are some good flavors and variants out there that are better than others, you still have to retrain the user no matter what they do. Because if they're used to right-click and the certain options are there, and they're no longer, like, it's just, the pipe dream of people will just abandon Windows and switch to Linux because of Windows 11 is not going to happen. As much as people would love for Linux to really grab on and give us more options in the marketplace besides Mac OS, Windows, and Chrome OS, I just don't see it happening. Now, in the enthusiast community and those who are truly love to tinker, absolutely. That's the brilliance of it, right? You can truly get under the guts of those operating systems, or you can just swap out various flavors all you want all day long. But I don't think we're going to see the year of Linux. To be honest, if that was going to happen, it would have been with Windows 8. And so we all know how that shook out. So there you go. We're going to wrap this up. We are finito. It is Friday. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful week. My team won the Icy Hot Bowl last night. And so, yeah, always good to see that. Anyways, as always, my friends, make sure to keep it subscribed here because on the BS on this podcast is me.